gaming time. Let's get gaming into Bank, and you said there probably won't be a multi-ban, but there will be a lot of multi-play. Yeah, correct. Will we see a removal against the Intel game? The Valken IQ was consistent.
I think Valk needs to go.
Yeah.
100% Valk needs to go. There's the Nook. Bank. Makes a lot of sense. Big map, a lot of cameras, default cameras especially. Nook can be deadly. You think about Garage, for example. How many times have we seen Nook X-Garage flanks happening? It's a dangerous one. Oh, Jackal. We've been ranked. A Jackal ban?
Come in with a cav. Come in with a Jackal cav. No, I mean, you've got to look at what Bank can offer. You've got to look at who was the biggest threat on the previous map as well, which was Pamba playing that Oryx role, the space that they can control. If you can find a way to maybe eke against that and maybe be the drive-in, that could be a thing. It's not that reason, but at the same time, you look at the play. Azami is the follow-up. You were pointing at Kite.
Yeah, interesting Kite ban considering that Thatcher's open. I would understand that FaZe starting on the attack. If Thatcher is being banned out, yeah, you don't want to play against the Kite, but makes no sense to me, you know. If Kite's up, Thatcher is just going to be there. Unless they themselves see that we just can't fit Thatcher into our lineup, which then makes a lot of sense.
Valk is on the board. They still have themselves a presence. It's not going to be the biggest thing, especially on this basement site. What we saw on border is...
Top floor is going to be tricky though with Valk comes up.
Yeah, oh, for sure, but not really down here. This is a lot more familiar. However, I am super curious to see what the Ying will do. Obviously banned in the previous map and removed from the showdown. We'll see if that can be a little bit more of a presence.
Another op that's also open is Ossa for Bank.
Yes.
And people may be like, oh, Ossa's really good for, you know, maybe setting up plants for this attack, for example, in towards basement. In terms of the upstairs, in terms of the windows, she's scary. She's extremely strong up there, so it'll be interesting to see if FaZe will use and abuse that. I think the tone will be set in the first round. It always is for me. DZ, I think, need to get off to a good start. So DZ, they're going to go for a full upstairs extension with mirror windows included in that. Have they reinforced the hatch?
No.
Yes, they have. Okay.
They reinforced one of the hatches. I was looking at the other hatch that was obviously...
And they've also reinforced blue.
Yeah, blue is done.
This leaves them very susceptible to just walking into the site if you're FaZe. There's not a lot of denial. There's only just realistically... Oh, wait, no, there is a go. Never mind. I'm talking. Don't listen to me. There's a smoke going to go out. That's enough. I didn't see the go out there. I thought it was only the smoke.
What I am going to highlight here is there has been a change. Obviously, the Ying has gone, but suddenly they have the Twitch
is good
on board. And the only hard breach they have is in the pockets of Astro. So if you're looking at lobby hatch being done, if you're looking at the other two over here as well.
Oh, it's a lobby hot drop. It's a lobby hot drop. Here we go.
And they are going to try and find themselves down right into the fight. There it is. They're quickly making a move. Bullet has gone down on the opposite end as well. The attention's being paid. Cannot win the first engagement. And as the calls come through, Sky is a very important opener. There's pressure above, though, and Cyber finds one. Gav gets the response. Bullet, they're stuck up and waiting to see if they can get the angle. With that mirror window popped open as well, it becomes a lot more dangerous. They rotate away from gold. They're not going to take the fight intently from there. They're also watching from the hatch above as well. So it's very dangerous. Without any pressure on that player above that hatch, they should be free to just keep that locked in. An attempt, a miss.
Yeah, crucial kill by Skies. You know, if a rush happens, the first kill is so important. So Skies being able to hold his nerve and win that engagement has just stopped FaZe in terms of what they wanted to do. And of course, that's diffuser dropped. Now Skies has the diffuser. Everyone from DZ will be aware of the idea. Now they know that FaZe, eventually they will need to try and fight in through Vault because you have to get the diffuser. You just can't now skip that. You know, you've almost baited in the fallback in the site. Then you can go for your general push of moving in towards server. You can't do that now because you have to go and get the diffuser.
You've also not got your hard breach. At this point, if you're looking at the dedication of utility above, well, that mirror window is going to be safe from the side of it. You've got to try and force a fight from either the Beeper's door, where it looks like they want to try and stack themselves up, or the opposite end. There's
a play for kills now, don't you?
Slow creep, exactly. They have no real option. Does Bullet know the hatch above him is open? That's the big risk. They're going to see if they can maybe try and draw a single kill, but DarkZero is handing them nothing. A prox pops off. That's the fight on the far end of Beepers, I believe. Sky's just sitting pretty on the kit. If we go to the second story, we might find ourselves about to have an engagement. There it is. The pressure comes around. They're smoking out the swing round. Pamba's still going to hold on for as long as possible. They have a little bit of a stretch and a reach, but instead of trying to take the fight, they just try and push down green. But what else can they do? Apparently not much at this point.
No, it's just I think DZ are happy enough to sit tight with one another and get those refrags whenever they happen. And yeah, I think FaZe, this has just been a very long round. I think you can imagine what's coming to follow through with this is Sky's in a great position. There's a great swing onto the double window. Barely misses out, but it doesn't matter as Gav instead will pick up that kill. Bullet, last man up, and yeah, slaughtered. DZ, like I said, Sky's, I have to give him credit. Such an important position, being able to react to that rush. You knew it was coming from FaZe from a mile off. Whenever you see the setup from DZ, and immediately we see 4 changes from the attack, you know that they probably see a weakness and think, hey, if they're doing all of that over there, let's just ignore that. But you have to win your kills if you're going for the rush. You have to.
All right. Good start here, DarkZero. Take the first round, get themselves a bit of a statement. Can they try and make it a longer phrase? They go to open next, and they sort of jumped around a couple of different sites there, and they're going to see what can be pieced together. Hey, I've already talked about how much I enjoy Oryx. This is another map where I really enjoy Oryx. I've seen some huge Oryx plays on this position. In the pockets of Skies this time, the man of the moment of the previous round, and a couple of moments in the first as well. We've seen retakes over the top of this, which is what they're trying to formulate here, that have defined an entire thing. Most teams, if they cannot get through the quad wall onto the main kitchen area and serve up some pain there, instead they'll try and tuck the plant at the back end of the stock hatch. However, if the verticality is retaken by Skies via one of the hatches inside the site, or a long rotate around the back, or the hatch inside the elevator, there's a couple of options for them to move and just cause problems.
Yeah. And nothing that's really too outrageous from DZ in terms of the whole. I think it's fairly run-of-the-mill, fairly standard, and what you would expect to see. FaZe, for me, I think they'll probably look at this and think, yeah, there's nothing here that we're really surprised about. I think they'll have a go at attacking upstairs. I think with Janitor Hatch already being opened up, it makes it a little bit more worth it, you know, to being able to take above. Hatch is already open for you, can play off that. The only thing you would say is there ain't a lot of soft destruction from FaZe in terms of, you know, a sledge or a buck. Sure, they have breaching charges, sure they have Sophia, but it doesn't really hit the same.
Oh, there's one way to get rid of the cap cans, pop the Grismot and drive in behind it with Astro getting Canadian. The first frag is his this time around. Instead of being caught out, the Solace gone quite early on. And as the spray comes towards the back end of the white stairs, they're just going to keep them at bay for a moment and slip their rotate back towards the site itself. The direct line right through the core in the middle of this building. There's often a rotate that pops itself just between the archives and the core of the site, and that's what NGR is keeping a watch on too. There's still the rotate, there's still, as I said, the Skies on the far end, there's still the vertical hold, but FaZe have a moment here in an open body.
Yeah, FaZe being able to take early control of what they wanted, which is Tellers, and Tellers sets you up for, I would say, a good opportunity to take quad wall, because the main issue with quad wall, if you're trying to play from, you know, you go above, then you rotate down towards Skylight, you open up quad wall. The main issue is, if you don't have Tellers and Archives, you can just get shot. You know, you can't really open up the wall. If you try and Thermite, you could get shot. Selmas could get just shot off in general. So the fact that they've taken the mid floor is a bit of a strange one, but it makes sense if you're going for the quad wall. It makes it a lot easier.
Now they have the quad wall open and they have some attention being paid to it, but as Bullet wins out and hefty engagement with Skies on the top end, Pamba is going to see if he can go over something
shot.
and does. Bullet is caught out. They're able to push aggressively across the top of square. Astro gets NJR. In the meantime, can Cyber win this fight? The swing round the bottom. It's Astro over the top though that's able to get it, leaving just Gav on the back end. Vita King is down. Will get picked back up, I believe. There it is. And well, not for very long. Souls gets the final one and FaZe get one back.
Yeah, it kind of happened just in a flurry. All of a sudden, the kills came out of nowhere. I would say DZ, they've made the call of, okay, let's try and retake it. Let's try and retake what they've taken from us, which is going to be that Skylight. I think Pamba kind of led the charge, but you just don't win the engagements. You know, FaZe were on it, FaZe were ready to go. DZ just caught in the mud. Good approach from FaZe, and different approach. Nothing that, you know, something that we don't see every day is, you know, very minimalistic. Take mid floor and that's it. You don't have to worry about top floor. As long as we can deny them killing us while we're trying to push in towards quad wall, we'll have no issues.
Here is the top floor CEO, and you'll often see it, not as the most common, a good tertiary for a lot of teams. It gives you a little bit more wiggle room. How you hold at the top, though, is one of those things that changes up. The mirror window in Sky is going to be placed inside Janitors. They've got a bit of soft there, just inside the CO wall, the close one, so they can give themselves a bit of wiggle room. Makes the top of square very dangerous to get in.
4 changes from FaZe. I think they have a really good set plan here for the top floor. You can see that from them, so they've obviously prepped this. No Osa, which is a surprise for me. I think Osa is a great operator for the top floor. You can place them on the windows of CEO, and you just sit behind them, use that, you know, like a mirror window, of course, that we see in the game, and you just have that advantage against your opponents. DZ haven't really went for, you know, a crazy lineup where we'd see, you know, Castle sometimes in towards the top floor, which is kind of like the sub for Azami being banned out.
The importance here, the 2 stories of control underneath skies. If I talk about the importance of that mirror window, that's the thing they've got to protect the most. Viper King and the Candelas are going to head up towards the little alleyway window here and see if they can try and put some pressures across the bow of B. You'll sometimes see this become a bit of a back and forth, but it's also a nice place to try and just lead and shepherd. Canadian, he's getting the pings, the ideas, sees that there's a lion far away on the roof, and is just trying to catch out any drones that might have otherwise some intel. Can play with the impact underneath, can see if he can try and catch anybody that enters onto square as well, but this is going to be straight in through the windows. Blinds are prepped. Are they ready?
Yeah, look at the Monty as well, being able to lead to charge in towards Banana. In comes Via. Is he going to do anything with the Candelas? Astro actually whips at the pistol. Pamba, though, will find that. Ying, NGR jumps over. That's going to be the Monty on shield from the Monty. NGR is toying with him and wins it against Astro. How's he pulled that off? I have no idea. Of course, could just stim himself up. He's on 1 HP, but that's all you need if you're a Dark.
Souls just slips by the back end of one as Bullet gets some revenge. Pamba selling control of Janitors here and is watching and waiting for the player to push their way up the top of the white stairs, but nothing has come as of yet. So plays the back end of the shield and hopes the Hibana drifts once again a little bit too cautiously. 3 versus 3. The kit finds itself a little bit isolated around on the edge of Banana. There's a drop round on the back end. NJR is doing his best to try and keep himself alive and healthy. He wants to try and swing this fight before it comes all the way up the top, but it's the window locked out. NJR caught out by Cyber, and with a minute, Pamba, what are you planning? Because if it's a jump out, it's a huge risk. No, just a hold, a wait, and a hope and a bated breath they can try and find this player. There's the swing round. Pamba gets a very important take. He gets himself back into the site, almost gets the next over the top of the long desk, but it's Souls. They know the last player. They have a big awareness now. There it is for Souls. And they almost held on, but FaZe just took business to CEO.
Yeah, they had a plan, they had an idea. Monty pushing in from lobby up spiral is... I don't really know what you can do to stop it unless you bring the entire kitchen sink. You have to bring Goyo canisters, Legion, bring in the smoke. DZ had none of that, so you were never stopping the Monty push-up spiral. Monty on Banana is so difficult, not because you think, oh, how do you stop, how do you kill it? The amount of information you can get from just sitting in those windows and being able to see all of the bomb sites is second to none. And that works really well to relay that information to players on the windows. It means that the players on the windows, they're not swinging blind. They actually have information. They know that they can pre-fire. It helps the Ying, of course, get in. Monty can see there's nobody there. Get in as quick as you can. The Monty with the info on Banana, it's so crucial to that take.
Yep. All right, well, it was a crucial bite back, though, and it did come to a scrappy game. It came to something where DarkZero almost took it. There was a couple of slip-ups, obviously not quite knowing where each other's was. The Iana was able to get one out of it and then instantly dropped back in. Great movement from both players, both teams, to see if they can try and lead in towards the firefight itself. We see, once again, the same extension here over the top, and we see a different approach here from the guns against them. FaZe, they have some hard breach, they have some range with them, they have the Candelas.
A lot of Lion today from FaZe.
Yeah, good control, good control.
I think it's a signature, it just gives them a little explosive power push, you know, hit the NOS, and then away they go.
It's a 3-2-1 that's built into the game.
Yeah, which is perfect for FaZe. You know, I think they were real, you know, entrepreneurs of the kind of siege that we have at the moment. I think very early adopters of the you have to adapt, you have to do this, you have to be ready for anything.
Will they be ready for, there's the stretch over the top. Canadian not quite able to get a true bite into this game as of yet.
Yeah, he's struggling, try, isn't he?
Valkames will get some of the intel, but there's always still time for growth. Heavy hitting DMR, echoes over the top, and DarkZero, I mean, this is kind of how they want their hold to be attacked.
Yeah, FaZe, I think, going very by the book, sweeping, going in towards the top floor. Nobody's home, as we know, for DZ. They're more focused on holding that mid floor as best as they can, so FaZe not trying to pull any tricks, to say. The only worry you would have is you look at the position of Gav, he's pretty safe. He can drop down the hatch at any moment. Pam, on the other hand, he's stuck. He's either getting kills or he's dying. He's not leaving that kitchen.
Playing against the mirror window, he might have the player at the top of blue can swing up and get rid of some of the hard breach that tries and pops it open, but otherwise they're also in danger. So it is an extension with some support, but it's not a very sturdy line of support. So how much time can they play and wait out? Those Valcams getting the intel, the grab and the approach. The pressure is finding its way across the board. Gav's just watching for the hatch drop, but it's Pamba that suffers first. Gets a bit banged up by some sprays through the soft and against them. There's the Lion. The roar echoes across the board. Gav goes for a bit of a shaky swing. The blinds come through on the back end. There's Vida hopping in. Doesn't get the kill. Skies with a C4 as well. Up through the hatch. He's looking for the fight through the mirror window, doing everything he can as the pressure comes from Beeper's door. It's going to come behind him. He's still playing his life and he loses it, but still.
He's done really well. Getting that 1-for-1 in that position. Like I said, he's not escaping. He's dying there. But to take someone down with you, that's what it's all about.
Well, Vida King is gone. No more Candelas. Cyber they've lost as well. So those Valcams that were proving a little bit problematic before, still there, are going to continue to prove problematic. You can see Pamba's on at least one of them as the pressure comes around once again towards the bottom of green. Gav, he's going to swing himself to it. The blinds come out over the hatch, a bit of control that they just did not have last time around. And it's not going to say it punished them, but FaZe really had nothing on this. They've pulled themselves back in. DarkZero, they're now tucked inside Garage. They've got a crossfire.
Smoking fire.
Exactly, with all of those magical glasses, is able to keep a watch on the drop on the hatch as it's about to come through because, well, what else can you do? There's the pop, there's the catch, there's the flash, there's a man turning on his glasses and, oh, not quite getting the kill, actually. They're able to slip their way through. They're one of two left. They're going to see if they can get one more fight. It's the mirror window that pops up, and instead of going for the plant, the time just goes out.
Yeah, I think we kind of seen that from a mile off, didn't we, with FaZe? If you're going for the sweep and you're looking to approach that offsite hold from DZ, you cannot be losing players, especially two. It's all right getting, you know, a 1-for-1 trade, which will happen for Pamba, but you're in a 3v4 then. You've lost your real kind of driving force with the Ying. Ying's off the board, so there's nothing that's really worrying DZ in terms of utility. Then we see all the smokes and we see the Goyo canisters. If you're not quick to sweep that mid floor, don't do it, because you don't have enough time. If you're slow, which FaZe were, that happens. I feel as though if you're trying to attack that hold for DZ, you go straight server. They reinforce the hatch. The hatch is the biggest issue in terms of the mid-floor hold. That's generally what we see. DZ don't do that. I FaZe clock that the hatch is, reinforced. Well, it may be now because obviously they were in mid-floor, but the first round they had no idea about that.
Can DarkZero do it on a site that isn't the basement? That's the test now. Obviously, they've taken both their rounds on the same site, and they'll see if they can try and extend. It's not entirely been pushed aside, but still, out of the 3 rounds, this has been the one that FaZe seems to have the best control on attacking open.
Yeah, pretty easy for FaZe, wasn't it?
Not a huge amount in terms of player count inside the site as of this moment. Still doing the setup across the top, as we talked about the importance of that second story, and it was well watched by FaZe last time round. Will there be a little bit more pushback?
No mirror this time, which I don't think they did have the last time. Vigil comes into play from Canadian. I wonder what he's going to get up to on that operator. It's one that we don't see all too often, especially whenever, Solus is available. If you want to deal with the drones, don't be invisible to them, just go and shoot them.
Skies playing close around Kanto, hoping somebody drifts up onto the windows to see if they can say hello and wave them goodbye, but it seems like there's pretty direct pressure towards the quad wall. Soul's going to head up to the top window. Cyber has the kit just tucked around by the quad wall. They're droning it out. They might see if they can get a quick slip through.
So
there
is
thinking,
yeah, look at
utility. There's cap cans just tucked around towards the side of the door as well. Cyber wants to see if he can lean on the fight. Bullets on the back end. They're going to go for the double-timed push here, and yeah, I think it's another quick play. Blinded and swung around. Cyber's able to win it out. They've got the drop on the hatch. They're going to see if they can try and bite back. And Canadian, a huge kill on the Bullet. Canadian, he's inside. Skies and Gav get one of their own. There's at least one back for the guns of FaZe, but Cyber is isolated. He's in danger. He needs Souls' support structure, and he still has the kit in his pocket. The ping's on the player. They're above the hatch. That's the risk. As soon as he puts his head down and the call comes, then it's suddenly a 3 versus 1. Currently, it's a dead man's game. The plant goes. The audio should echo in the silence that we have. He's not being tested, and Souls gets Skies. Can DarkZero try and dig their way back round into this Gav? He's got the slow creep round. He's looking for the fight and hope he's gone uncontested by the single player. Inside, Tellers in the swing. That's the attention from Amber. Buys one way, gets him on the other. 30 seconds. There's still one player left. And, ooh, they almost get the first strike and swing. But it's Gav over the top, and they have time to get this kit and pull themselves into the lead.
Oh, quality. Quality all around from Pamba and Gav. FaZe, I had a feeling. I'm seeing an Ash with a diffuser. I had a suspicion they were going to try and go for something pretty quick. Pamba, that kill on Souls, he's hit some really good shots today.
Oh, yeah.
Really, like round-defining shots. All credit to him. I think he's been very, very impressive and keeping his team in it.
I mean, when you need to show up, you need to show up, and they're showing up right now. DarkZero. They find themselves 3-2 up at this moment in time, a position that they haven't really had in the showdown. They were getting closer to eking out an even half in the previous map, but just fell short of it. So this could be a slightly different story. If they can get on the other end on their opponent's map with the 4-2, maybe a bit of energy might start to spark as they head over to their attack.
Still worried. I'm still worried.
You're always worried.
Reason why is FaZe got 2 attacks, which I think is really good for them, considering DZ, I think, on the attacking front, have been a little bit too slow, and Bank is a map where you cannot afford to be slow.
No.
You know, if you're slow on border, what does that say? How's that going to work out for Bank? Considering as well, you're going to have to go against Goyo, Smokes. It's going to be tricky for DZ. This, I think they need the 4-2. I think they need to give themselves as best of a chance as they can.
4 technical repicks there. The Hibana went back to the Hibana. For a different approach here. Onto Tellers, probably statistically the rarest scene of the sites on Bank with the current meta. It's a little bit awkward.
Let me tell you why.
Yeah, go on.
The reason being is the top floor. Every inch of those bomb sites is destructible from above, and that's never a good thing to have. There's nowhere safe that you can sit, and it's not one of those sites where, okay, sure, you can open up a lot of the flooring, but there isn't really any good places you can actually fall back into apart from open area. You can't fall into Skylight because there's windows and a massive skylight. You can't fall in the lobby because all the windows over there. The only place you can go is open area. That doesn't give you a lot of room. You're telling me you can only defend 2 rooms from 1 room? Makes no sense. That's why it's very, very weak. If you look on the flip side, open area, you can fall back into kitchen. It's not destructible from above. You can fall into archives and tellers. That gives you a way out. That has the extra room. This doesn't.
Where do you go? Let's see if DarkZero can be the answer to that. They have a couple of players stacked up and ready for the fight on long desk. The Valkyrie cam gets caught out, but there's a Solus around the corner. It's the other side of a soft, and as the scan comes through, you can see Pamba's on one end. That drone will just catch Canadian, but Pamba's the first fight they find, and Cyber is able to win it out there. Just expected the engagement, and Canadian, he's not going to sit around and see what happens next. Takes the double drop.
But look what this means now for FaZe. They've got a full min and a half to do all the destructibility. Cyber's still alive. They haven't lost anyone. It's very clean from FaZe. And now you'll start to see the issues with this bomb site. There's nowhere to sit, Fluke. There's nowhere safe now for DZ. All they can do is sit on main stairs, so a one-for-one angle where you don't really have any crossfires on the staircase, and open area, which can easily be avoided if you just go from lobby side.
And JR tried to risk the fight up to the top, but Cyber just had the angle to only see the man's head and take that right off. Another body falls with a minute on there, as he said, and you can hear the cacophony of the buck getting angles open, forcing play, forcing movement, and giving themselves rotates as well so they can be a little bit more malleable.
For DZ, I think you just have to try and retake. You have to try and rotate above. Yeah. But FaZe are not going to let that slip. You look where Bullet is right now, just in a random corner. That's the best way to hold the flank, where you never expect them to be.
Well, it's about to be to his right-hand side. Is it blocked by the gun? No, just sees the head. Cannot get the revenge, though. Canadian is able to get one back, but very quickly taken by the players watching above. Skies was the next to be swept up, and we have an even half. 3 apiece, and, well, heading into their defense, DarkZero, they've got a lot to attack here.
I mean, either way, the top floor didn't work out for them. We know that. Obviously, they've tried their hand at the bomb site that it just doesn't work. It's a tricky one. I think we kind of knew that for DZ was the basement was really strong, but everywhere else was a little bit lackluster in many ways. So it's an even half, but DZ now have to go for the attacks. FaZe, look at the lineup. It's quintessential of what we expect to see on basement. Mira, Goyo, Smoke, Warden, everything that you want to see is here for FaZe. Maybe an Echo's probably the only one I would say that I like to bring. I think Echo's really good pick for the basement. Good operator also just to hold garage as well. I say that because that's my position in this stuff.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I do.
Yeah.
I'm on Echo Patrol.
Lead by example.
But, I mean, it's still a good lineup. You have plenty of denial.
Let's see if DarkZero can try and break the slow mold that they unfortunately shaped on border here. They need to apply a little bit more pace if they want to try and hit the boards running. They are able to eke out a couple of rounds in their attack, but with barely any time either time.
Interesting Goyo canister placement. For Elevator, you expect DZ to go Elevator? I think FaZe probably knows something we don't. I think FaZe have probably leaned into something there and perhaps maybe expecting that DZ might try something a little bit more different.
Look at that. The softs to make breaches awkward and pass through. Where they get turned into hards, they still have 3 in pocket. The hatches being popped open as well. Give Astro the rotate back. They have some semblance of control.
No nades. Again, remember they had this issue in border. They're going to struggle big time to clear right positions. Honestly, if you're FaZe and you see the lineup that there's no nades, you start holding server stairs, you start holding server rack, you start holding the positions that you would get naded out from that are so strong if you don't have nades.
This setup, both mirror windows, just on the other side of the red corridor, can be peered into if they get control of garage. It's a bit of a swing round here.
But if you do those mirror windows, you have to have a lot of confidence that teams are not going garage.
Yep.
If a team goes garage, those mirror windows are useless. But if you have garage control, it means that if someone drops red, you're no longer going to get toasted now.
Yeah, you have something, but it's a bit of a risk.
It is a risk, but if it pays off, it's beautiful if it works.
Let's see if they can try and buy as much time as possible. As I said before, they are still soft, the server walls itself towards the site, which is a lot of teams' default approach here. They've made them a little bit open, a little bit awkward, and they're hoping that they just sort of turn into the cacophony of bullets that can be offered by a mirror window on the far end.
I bet you any money Canadian's going to walk in the server, see the mirror windows, and just walk back out again. Because there's no point. There's no point. What can you do against that? I think DZ need to get some drone work in, but then this is where the mute pick probably comes in. It stops them from seeing the setup. Canadian's actually found a wild Astro. What's he up to?
Yeah, Astro sort of saw a second and a sliver of a body, but came back into the face of a DMR. That was only going to really end one way if you're going for that sort of swing round against it. Canadian was set up, prepped and ready, and they pulled back instantly. They made sure that they had a reevaluation of the push. There's the break. And it's coming as the default push would. The blue hatch is open. They're still eyeing up the soft walls on the back end. Skies is now droning out the far. They'll get the read, they'll get the call.
Look at the time though, 50 seconds. You still have the smokes to go through. You still have the canisters to go through. This is what I worried about with DZ. Remember, you just can't drop into A now because the mirror windows are set up this way. So if they do hot drop into the site, they're going to be smoked.
There's the drones, there's the bit of support that's coming through. 2 drones just rolled through garage, and at that point the warning signals are like, we've got to try and put pressure onto this because we
think you drop, you die. See, I mean, you realize that.
They pull back, they rotate all
now.
the way to the far end of lobby, but it is being watched.
Genius!
See a couple of players, you can see a couple of bits of position here. There's also a player above elevator as well. You said, are they going to be using that? What do they know? Well, they know enough. Apparently, the smokes come through. The man is able to turn on his glasses. The pressure goes for an attempt at a plant, but 11 seconds. They have to move now, and Pamba gets caught out. There's Cyber getting one. There's Kaveni and Cyber getting one back apiece. They're inside the site. They've got the kit. Now they're going to see if they can try and hold F. They went around the back end, and that gives them this rotate, a very important angle to watch. They miss it out, though, and Cyber is able to pull that one back. Good adaptation from DarkZero, a better one from FaZe.
FaZe had their number every step of the way. Remember I just mentioned, just randomly, maybe they know something they don't. They did.
They didn't even just know something they don't. They knew what the plan B would be.
Mate, they read them every step of the way. Genius from FaZe, knowing that if they see the double mirror windows, they were like, well, what do we do now? Skies know we can't hot drop. Oh, let's go around the back. Oh, this is where I have fun. This is
where the fun begins.
This is what I enjoy.
DarkZero, they were close though. And that's something that you can't really take away from them. The plan B still almost came together, regardless of the preparation that came down from FaZe. It was, I believe, a 2 versus 2 at the end there. They just had themselves in one position, and there's a lot of angles to watch at that. But the kit wasn't too far away from being planted as well. There was a difference of a second or two between a 45 count and out or not. So, DarkZero, you still got to keep that under your belt and see if you can try and apply the pressure here. Obviously, the only site that you really found continual success was that site. It could be the same story for FaZe. Now's your chance to prove it.
Still feel as though DZ, with no nades, is really letting them down.
They've got to be one of the few teams that over an entire series, not just like a map or an attack, but over an entire series hasn't opted for any nades.
Again, I just think about the IQ. Like, is that what's really holding them back? You know, obviously they respect the Valkyrie. They've brought it every single time, but I keep mentioning you don't have the same utility clearance with the IQ as what you would with nades. It's probably the only thing I'd say about DZ that just, it really, you know, confuses me in a sense. I'd love to hear, you know, why they're not bringing nades, because everyone else does. I would. You would.
Yeah. They've obviously got themselves pockets full of flashes and soft breaches alongside NJR, so at least they have a backup plan in case the buck goes down. He might the first fight is Cyber up top on long desk. 2 drones make presence. There's another one watching from stock as well. They had a lot of eyes, and he's just going to Ramadash his way out of that. He can open himself up, rotate, will, by the sounds of it in the distance. And DarkZero, they've got a tumultuous clear here, but a clear is only as good as you've got eyes and Norix in this map.
Again, DZ, still half the round to go. They've got themselves in the building, which is a good start.
There's a Falcam, and a C4 is present underneath those windows, as often is.
Let's hope Pamba does his job. I mean, if you're getting C4 from Valkyrie information while bringing an IQ, there's serious worries.
Yeah, it's known as a mistake.
Thank you for the sum up.
And they are using the buck, making sure they can get this broken open. There's obviously still, as I said, the dangerous C4s. 3 of them in pocket and back over the top. They almost see the side of a player. The C4 just misses, but they're going to lean into the fight. No, NJR gets a bit of revenge for how they were dropped on the reverse vertical when they're on their defense. This time with the lead into the buck, they're able to make that stick. Here though, Souls playing on the back end, a minute left. They're starting the shepherding work from above.
Also, remember, they can only open up one hatch. They either open up janitor hatch or they open up the corner desk. That's all that they can go for. They're really limited just with the lack of heart breach. No heart breach gadgets from Buck, for example. This could prove really well for FaZe. Vasher knows that hatch in the corner has never been opened up. He can play from a really nice long angle.
Talking of, Pamba has his own all the way from deep end on the back and utilizing the mirror windows.
Defender cosplay.
Yeah, he's trying to find himself his own lock-in. The beep is on the rotate, and the rotate of the Oryx goes back underneath. He heard the calls, and he knew his call, and time was to rotate out. There's a fight right on, and Astro is able to lock it out. Takes a lot of damage, slipping his way past the window, but somehow wins it out, and they drop right into his lap.
Brilliant. Astro. Just right place, right time, isn't it? They're tossing themselves at him.
I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better place to be there. The engagement came from the opposite end, and, well, they were pushed for time. DarkZero once again.
Yeah.
Time is becoming this ever-ticking problem. It is the one of the couple of things true in life is time will forever keep ticking.
It's the worry I had with DZ on the bank and attacks after what we've seen in Border. How's it going to get better on bank? It just isn't. Again, lack of heart breach, lack of nades, I'm just not vibing with it. I'm just not. Oh, I think they heard me. NGR with Diana.
They might not have nades. Imagine if they play Diana without nades. Just imagining from you to
wait, what does Diana have as a secondary gadget?
I don't know.
Does anyone know? I don't think I've ever.
Probably soft breaches.
Is it smokes? Oh, and well, never mind. Pamba's on it now.
Pamba's got you.
10 seconds left.
I mean, it's that sort of thing. It's late in the day, late in the game. It's still
I actually need to look it up.
Tricky.
It's actually annoying me that I don't
to get a catch, but
I actually have one job and I can't even do that. Remember what?
Yeah.
Yana
fired. A lot of claymores in pockets this time around. They're going to see if they can try and limit some movement. But to be honest, with Bank, you know how they're playing. Souls with the pockets there, watching a Valkyrie camera. I'm not sure what he's anticipating, if he wants to try and Ramadash and pull a fight quickly or not. He seems to have
smokes. I knew it was smokes.
To go for a battle here. They're watching over square and holding himself in, but for all the time and all the intel that Solus is feeding them as well, they can sort of sit and wait.
Yeah, Solus. I mean, Vita's taken up the mantle, not having the greatest of games, 1-6 at the moment. A lot of pressure, I think, to put your Solus player on, on that operator where he's not having the greatest of games. And considering that Solus, I think, is an operator that you want to keep alive right until the last second, it's a risky one if someone's having a bad game, because if he dies instantly, it's a waste. seen a lot of makers over there playing in the open quals. It happened a lot. You know, their Solis players was like dying within a minute every single time.
A lot of attention being paid over to stock. They're going for a pretty standard take here, over the top of square, and with all the wall locked as it is, it makes sense. Fighter is underneath, but apart from scanning and getting an idea and doing a little bit of impacting, not a huge amount that he can do to intently stop this. NJR goes to put pressure onto the windows as Astro's sort of dancing around the idea of a fight itself, but as I said, with that wall, with both pairs entirely locked to the top of square, it should be DarkZero able to get control and start getting this popped open. More than enough hard breach, more than enough range.
DZ, a lot of window play, of course, using the Habana from the window to open up the site walls as best as they can. No denial from FaZe on that wall. Of course, the mute jammer easily being shut off. However, on the other side, there seems to be some sort of clipping there. They have the mute jammer on the very far left. It's gotten some, but not all.
Do they know about Canadian? Yes, is the answer. Cyber able to pick that up. We saw the Solace as well, not too far away, so they definitely had that awareness. Nobody is currently on the windows as of yet.
Biggest worry now for DZ is you can't plant. Because if you know there's a Solace plus a C4 operator below, you're not. It's not working.
Oh, he missed him. He found him. Cyber at first, just the timing popped together. Gav right down the corridor is looking for a fight, but it's a flawless. Out of nowhere, DarkZero tried to shove themselves in at the end there after losing that open body, but we find ourselves here. 3 rounds. DarkZero have to try and claw their way back. Attack timeout. They had to do 3 rounds before. They got 2 of them. Can they have the difference here to take us to a map 3?
Cyber again, top of the pops. At the moment, 11 and 4 is where he stands, and Cyber's having a good game. Honestly, there's not a lot of teams that could really go against that. He is that good. Souls, who, in my opinion, has been the best support over the past year. Again, he's just there. He's one of the very few supports who can go toe-to-toe in terms of fragging power with the entries, which is incredible that you have someone like that.
It's not the most common statistic.
Could you imagine if you rock up into your rank stack and Tim's actually gunning on all 4s?
How dare you? Tim is always good.
Could you imagine?
It's like having a centre-back with a huge amount of finishing.
Yeah, scores the goals.
That's what you need.
It's incredible.
This is it. This is the rocky situation now. The only thing DarkZero have between them and a point is just the game ahead of them. The tack timeout has been called. Obviously, FaZe still have the option of utilizing theirs, but they didn't last time. They sort of a couple of rounds slipped away from them, and they were still like, we can push this over the edge, and they did, and that's an important mental game to be in.
Look at the difference between FaZe attacking and DZ. This is what I mean whenever I mentioned, you know, it's a great map for FaZe. They're really good at adapting. That's where they can win those attacks. You know, Bank's not an easy map to attack. There's a lot that goes into it. Time, obviously, has been displayed really, really well in this matchup and how difficult it can be to play against that. And FaZe have made it look really easy at times.
I mean, between Souls and Cyber, it's 22-7. They've really had the full run of the mill here in terms of the frag game, and sometimes that's that age-old thing about Siege is if a player pops off on a day, it's nothing you can account for.
That's you remember, you know, all the times I used to say it doesn't. You can't do anything. No. If someone's having a life game, you are done. Someone else on your team has to have a life game. That's the only way you can fight against it.
For DarkZero, that's now 2 players on the 2 maps that have had that engagement. It was previously Cyber and Bullet that I think went 28 between the pair of them. Now there's 2 of them that are on 22, and we're not too far away from maybe the end, maybe breaking that between the pair of them. They have themselves a stretch of open, they have themselves the full pressure, and look at Canadian on the Monty burying himself quickly towards the bottom of the site.
So naturally, I see a Monty for Bank, and well, you know, I mentioned before, I think it's an operator that both teams would play, and we've showcased it now. Both teams will be playing the Monty. We've got a hefty amount of smokes. Shouldn't be an issue though. You have, of course, you know, plenty of counters to that. You have your own smokes that you can fire out from Souls. Go your canisters, as one gets popped, you can pop a canister in response, and of course the Warden.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get himself locked in, Cyber.
Even the 4C4s, I suppose, are a good counter also if there's a smoke being popped.
I mean, that's the thing.
Someone has to be in there.
If you talked about the previous round and you said putting Vita on the Solus was a risk because they could die early, putting Cyber on the Warden, well, you know he's going to be up late. You know he's going to be able to lead those engagements, and he's the perfect person with the perfect operator against a potential 6 smoke push with a shield. But DarkZero still have the chance of being able to find a body or two before push comes to shove. A minute 30 has passed, and you can still see Astro's in position, but look at the Monty now. They've dug themselves in underneath. They've got themselves closer and closer. It will have to force the blue player to come back closer.
This is a big issue. They don't have any range soft destruction. They can't open up the single wall that you would want to, kind of plant behind. They have to try and put a breach in charge, but if you try and do that, you're going to get killed. You're going to get shot.
Well, talking of, Cyber gets the first. The Doc will be caught out on the roam, and bad start has kicked into gear here for DarkZero. There's dropped in the second. Cyber gets one more. Can Pamba stop the run? Does. A very important kill, but at the cost of 2 of your players. The Twitch is gone. Those mirror windows will stay solid unless Skies can get the pop round. If it's not covered, the Monty will hear the beeping. The fire buys them a second and allows them to live a little bit longer. The flashes come through. They pop their way back round. They can't get the cement on the kill. The mute jammer and the shotgun gets a lot of damage to the wit, but all 3 of them are putting pressure here onto Astro, and surely he gets caught. There it is. 40 seconds, and now focus might be able to be paid towards the site itself. Canadian buries himself deeper and deeper. The fire gets popped behind him, has to go a little bit closer back. They still have one by the default plant as well. You can see it's popped off, and that's 15 other seconds wasted.
2C4, free smokes. Still plenty in the tank for FaZe, and I just think DZ, they're out of options. I think they have to try and play for the kills. They cannot play for the plant. They'll never let that happen on FaZe's side.
Well, here's the flashes, here's the movement. They don't have the man with the glasses, and they have the cover, but the smoke is causing a couple of problems. It's kind of chaotic right now, and look at the health just filter away from DZ. Pamba is gone too, and that is a 2-0, 4 points, and FaZe finally put the game down that they were expected to do, that people wanted them to do, and DarkZero unfortunately cannot quite find the gear that we want from them yet.
The bounce back from FaZe was everything. That is the true test of a great team. If you suffer a heavy loss, which they did against M80 yesterday, how do you respond? And they have